This week on the Canadian Tech Podcast, the CRTC still wants your opinion on MVNOs. Microsoft Edge is going cross-platform, Google unveiled so many hardware products, and the Canadian Senate is trying to wrangle with autonomous vehicles. That's all next, and more on the Canadian Tech Podcast. The Canadian Tech Podcast is sponsored by Olio Digital Labs. Olio are the planners, designers, and developers of the apps used by some of Canada's biggest brands. Find out what Olio can do for you at oliodigitallabs.com. And we're also sponsored by CodeShip, continuous integration and delivery software that lets you ship your apps with confidence. Both CodeShip Basic and CodeShip Pro come with a free plan that grants 100 builds per month, unlimited projects, and unlimited users. Visit codeship.com today to find out which CodeShip product is right for you.
Welcome to the Canadian Tech Podcast, episode 135, for Monday, October the 9th, 2017, sponsored by Olio Digital Labs and CodeShip. My name is Stuart Clark.
And my name is Derek Silva.
And I'm Jameson Roberts.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a while since we've had all three of us here. Welcome
I was going to say, there's three of us.
Three of us. I know, what's with that? Welcome back to the show, Jameson.
Cotter.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for keeping an eye on Derek when you guys went to the conference.
Well, someone had to.
Well, exactly.
I didn't drink that much scotch, okay? Only half of the bottle.
Uh-huh. So you say.
Well, yeah, I know how much I drank because I was able to walk home. Walk back to the cabin, thankfully. It took me a little while. The layout of that camp was not simple to figure out that first night. It took me a while to figure out how to get back to the cabin. But I did.
I'm just glad you didn't run into a bear or something.
No,
that's very true.
Very true. Okay,
I was more worried about falling into the lake.
Well, that's true as well. That would have sobered you up quick, though. Alrighty, enough of the scary stuff, or the scary or embarrassing or whatever you want to call it. Chitter chatter. Let's get right on to the quick hits, Derek.
Canada's regulator, aka the CRTC, has allowed for a second round of submissions on the subject of Wi-Fi first mobile virtual network operators, aka MVNOs. All the stakeholders interested in submitting a second round intervention can now do so by October 27th. Final submissions are going to be taken until December 1st. They made the change because ICE Wireless was supported by a number of other organizations, including Open Media, and they are, as we know, a company who runs all the networks basically up north, and they were running Sugar Mobile a year or two ago, which got shut down because Rogers complained that there was a violation of their roaming agreement to let people roam down here pretty much full time, which is, from Rogers' perspective, I get it. But anyway, ICE Wireless, parent company of Sugar Mobile, has a lot of people supporting them, so get your opinions in there. The government of Ontario has proposed legislation aimed at improving customer protections on real estate, travel services, and online ticket scalping. If this legislation is passed, it would ban ticket bots from automatically purchasing event tickets from sites like Ticketmaster, StubHub, Live Nation, etc. It would also prevent individuals reselling tickets who are reselling the tickets from charging more than 50% greater than the ticket's initial face value. So if you buy for $50, you can't sell for more than $75. Is the idea there. So there's a public consultation between February 28th. Wait, no. Oh, this is the result of a public consultation between February 28th and March 15th earlier this year. And so if you support this, call your MPP. Let them know.
Please.
Yes, please do. We would encourage that generally. In a very surprising move, Microsoft announced that it is making the Edge browser available to iOS and Android users. It's available for preview starting on iOS as of October 5th, It's coming soon to Android. However, don't fret, Android users. In the meantime, you can try out the Microsoft Launcher, which I must say actually looks pretty interesting. If you're an Office 365 user, it puts all your Office stuff right up front, giving you extremely easy access to it with the widgets and all that other good stuff. And it used to be called the Android Aero Launcher, so now it's called the Microsoft Launcher. Microsoft bought it a little while ago. Alberta is copying Ontario's program to give away free smart thermostats. However, Alberta is limiting it to free Ecobee smart thermostats, including free home installation. You can also get... where is it? You can also get advanced power bars that are more energy efficient. And if you want to sign up, there's a link in the show notes, and there's a link from there to the Efficiency Alberta website where you can sign up for the program, and I'm sure they'll figure out somehow if you qualify.
Wonder why they decided to go with just Ecobee. Are they an Alberta company?
No, but they are a Canadian company.
Oh, okay. So
maybe that's why. Protectionism at its best. Woo!
There you go. Hey.
My only complaint with the Ontario program is that it excludes renters. So,
you can't install your own thermostat without the building owner's approval, right? That's I think the thing there. Plus, a lot of those, like in your building, for instance, I don't know that it has the right wiring, or even that the those larger units support automation at that level. Maybe they do. I don't know.
No, it's just...
Go ahead, Jason.
It's frustrating because it's a Mercury switch, so it's incredibly inaccurate. But anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say your building's probably better than mine, but no, I got a Mercury switch on mine too. There you go.
All right, well, that's the end of the quick hits.
All right, and now we're going to have a brief word from our good friends at CodeShip.
Speaking of continuous integration, Jameson, CodeShip is a SaaS-delivered continuous integration and delivery solution that lets you ship your apps with confidence. You can choose between CodeShip Basic or CodeShip Pro. CodeShip Basic is a simple testing and deployment service with pre-installed CI dependencies that works right out of the box, making the average setup time less than 3 minutes. Or you can give CodeShip Pro a try. CodeShip Pro is a fully customizable, continuous integration and delivery service with native Docker support, and it is much easier to use than Jenkins. It makes it easy to test and deploy your microservices, and you can push to any registry. It's also perfect if you want to deploy with Kubernetes, and comes with a convenient local CLI tool that allows you to run your builds locally. It helps encrypt your environment variables. It guarantees 100% parity between your development and production environment. It juliennes fries. It makes donuts. And CodeShip Basic and CodeShip Pro both come with a free plan that grants 100 builds per month, unlimited projects, and unlimited users. Open source projects are always free on CodeShip, also a good thing for you, and we'll find out later why, Jameson. Visit codeship.com today, or check out codeship.com/features to find out which CodeShip product is the best fit for you. Asterisk, it does not julienne fries or come with donuts.
Oh!
Well played!
Despite of that, we'd like to thank them for their ongoing support of the Canadian Tech Podcast.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure we could put a feature request in.
I'm sure it's been thought of. To send us free donuts when we push code?
There we go. That would be,
I can think of worse thing.
Yeah. Then again, I don't think my blood sugars would really appreciate that.
Well, thankfully you don't code, so
no. But that might get me into it. Or if you had something pushing booze. You know how many compiles I can do in Fortran and COBOL?
You'd hit the Balmer Peak so fast.
Exactly. All right.
Partner up with Uber or Lyft and just deliver a drink to you every time you push go.
Yes. Compile, drink.
No, just push. Dear. Compile I guess no. Yeah, CodeShip you'd need to compile. Never mind. All right. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, so Google had their big event last week. Poor Google, they never seem to get quite the reach as the Apple events, but they still have awesome products.
They sure
do. I was going to say this. A ton. This time around, as much as it wasn't as prominent some of the stuff they're shipping is pretty darn nice.
It's pretty cool.
Boy, that's an Apple fanboy, folks.
I know. So we're gonna turn it over to Google fanboy, namely Derek, to kind of guide us through some of these.
So we've got the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. The Pixel 2 has a 5-inch OLED display, 1920 by 1080p pixel resolution, a super sweet camera with a score from DxOMark, I think of 95, 96?
Higher than the new
iPhone 8. Yes, better than the new iPhone 8 apparently. The Pixel 2 XL is a 6-inch display, 2880 by 1440 resolution, both with an aluminum build. The glass band from last year's Pixel appears to be a little bit shorter at the top from what I saw. And my phone was, of course, covered with a case, so I can't compare it right this second. But I do remember seeing the picture and being like, oh, that top piece is shorter. Pricing is going to be... Oh, hang on. Actually, okay, so a little bit more. So both Snapdragon 835 processors, which all the latest and greatest non-iPhones have. 4 gigs of RAM, starts with 64 gigs of storage, goes up to 128, not expandable. The Pixel 2 only weighs 143 grams, Pixel 2 XL 175, shipping with Android 8.0 Oreo, of course. The Pixel 2 2700 milliamp hour battery, Pixel 2 XL 3520 milliamp hour battery. Those are actually relatively small. I've seen Android phones with over 4,000 and 5,000 milliamp hours, so they must be doing some crazy optimization on Android Oreo to get a full day out of a battery like that. Nano SIMs, of course. Active Edge, so you can like squeeze your phone to launch Google Assistant and that sort of thing. Pixel 2 XL launch date was the 4th that day, and the Pixel 2 launch date is October 17th. I think they're both available for pre-order now, but won't be shipping. I could have sworn the Pixel
December?
2 XL. No, shipping later this month, like the 21st.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the Pixel 2 XL should ship by December, but the Pixel 2 should ship October 17th, so that's only 8 days from now. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Pixel 2 outright. Where's outright? Is
Pixel 2, $899 and $1029. That's for 64 gigs or 128.
There we go.
The Pixel 2 XL with 64 gigs is $1159, and the 128 is $1289.
Still cheaper than an iPhone X, iPhone 10.
Yes.
which starts at $1319. But yes, not inexpensive. Now, mind you, I got a base model clearly white or very white or really white, whatever, Pixel last year, and yeah, that was $899. So the prices, at least for the base model, did not go up. So that's nice. Okay, so do we want to stop and talk about the phones a little bit?
If you want, sure.
I think it's quite nice. I mean, the Active Edge, still a little gimmicky. The fact that it's used to launch Google Assistant, though, I would argue is far more useful than anything else they could have done.
Most likely. I mean, if you think about what you're going to want to do on sort of quickly, or if you're pulling your phone out of your pocket, it's going to be activating Google Assistant.
Yes.
I think it all depends how sensitive it's going to be, because I can just see, because there's time with Siri where I activate Siri, and I'm sure Apple's got stats of how many times people, Siri's recorded people swearing because they've accidentally activated it.
Every council meeting, somebody accidentally activates Siri on their iPad.
Yep.
No headphone jack. That's a bummer. They've got and no DAC inside, so no digital audio converter inside the Pixel 2 or Pixel 2 XL. So you need to get either Bluetooth wireless headphones, of course, or USB-C headphones with a DAC built in. And the list of confirmed, approved, official or officially supported headphones so far is relatively short.
Oh, it's because they want you to buy Pixel Buds. Which,
Right.
I mean,
speaking of which,
good reason.
Excellent segue, by the way.
yeah.
You're
So
welcome.
speaking of which, these are actually really cool. They're $219. They look a lot like other more recent Bluetooth headphones. These though have a string that goes around your head.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea right there.
Considering, honestly, that's one of my biggest complaints with a lot of the wireless earbuds is like, I want something to know that both of them are still there, or
Yeah,
if one
right.
falls out, it's not falling on the ground.
I'll lose.
Like,
I will lose it within a week if I had one.
mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the major feature setting these apart, there we go, I was just trying to find it on the official site, is that it works really well, unsurprisingly, with Google Assistant, and will let you do almost real-time translation in, I think, 80 some different languages, 90 some different languages. On stage, they had a woman speaking in Swedish, and it was translating on the dude who was talking to her on his phone in English. So there was that. And then he was speaking in English. She had the headphones on, I believe, or the Pixel Buds in her ears, and getting, as soon as he was done speaking, getting translated from English into Swedish.
Yep.
And my Swedish is terrible, but
you know what?
AKA
the universal
non-existent.
translator has arrived. Yeah, the universal translator of the Babelfish has arrived. I'm sure it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to want to, so for all these politicians thinking they can fire all their translators now, or business people, no, it's not going to be perfect.
No.
No, but it is. But assuming you're on a reasonable internet connection, it's going to be good enough for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yep,
Or if you're
exactly.
on Wi-Fi at your hotel in a foreign country and you're in a real pinch, and that person is just not speaking slowly, you might be able to actually have a meaningful communication.
Yeah, or like there are a lot of countries, and this is not a knock on any of those folks, where learning English and then actually speaking it is not trivial. You get a really rough accent, or a really strong accent rather. I totally understand why, and this way you can be like, you know what, just speak your native language. I'm going to listen to this. I've got these things in my ears. I'll have my phone out here. It'll actually it'll give you your language, hopefully natively or really well in a manner they can understand. And
Well enough.
Yeah, well enough to actually get, yes, you can clean my room now, or no, I don't need you to clean my room today. I just need some towels, whatever, for the hotel example.
As long as you can say, where's the bathroom? And where's the bar?
I was going to say, and where's the beer?
Another beer, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Una cerveza, por favor.
Ein Bier, bitte.
And how to swear in 28 languages.
Well, the really nice thing is that, like the AirPods, which you do a little tap or what have you, will launch Siri and you can give it commands. That's something Google's definitely been missing on the Android side, is something that will, a little double tap or something like that to actually launch Google Assistant. And the microphone actually hears you and acts accordingly. Yes, these are $219, but they are wireless. They'll go for 5 hours, just like all the best Bluetooth headphones out there, and integrates natively with Google Assistant. So I've been trying to use Google Assistant a lot more lately. I've finally figured out how to, and thanks to somebody else in another Slack community I'm in, how to play a song in a specific app. So I used to be you say on. So like, search for this on YouTube. Well, that's a very physical way to say it, right? Like that, I'm going to do it on YouTube. You need to say in, I found out. So now I'll say, okay, who, play this song in Google Play Music. And it goes, okay, launching Google Play Music. And it launches Google Play Music, and it searches for the song, and it plays the very first result, and it's 9 times out of 10 exactly what I wanted. So that was a big makes a big difference for me now that I actually know how to talk to Google Assistant properly. $219, not cheap, but might be worth it.
All right. Moving on, we got the Google Home Mini.
Yeah, that's on my Christmas list. Done. That's it. I want one of these. I've got Kathleen's family. We draw names, and we can go up to $100. I was like, oh, this is $79. Great. That's putting that on the list. It's basically a small Google Home. It looks like that one button click mouse from Apple a few years ago.
Yes.
But covered in fabric. Apparently, this super cool proprietary fabric that we had to try 450 different color 4,000 different color variations on, and who knows how many fabrics and all this and that and the other thing. And I was like, okay, guys, we get it. You put a lot of effort into this.
Derek, I hate to say you, but I'm sure this is going to happen. It looks like a scrubbing brush, an SOS brush. Yeah. I'm sure we're going to hear. Someone's going to use it to clean a pot.
Yeah,
probably.
Sure, probably. The coral color is quite nice. The LEDs actually sit underneath the fabric, so they're not exposed and you can't see them if they're not on, which is nice. So coral, which is basically like a dark salmon color type thing. To me, I was partially colorblind. It kind of looks like an orange, dark orange, but that's me. Like chalk, aka gray, and charcoal, aka dark gray. $79. You can get it from the Google Store, Best Buy, Staples. Along with this, they mentioned that you can actually, like Google Assistant will actually start to differentiate your voices now. So if I ask for a song to get played on Google Play Music, it'll launch my phone and on my account. If Kath says it, it'll go to her phone and her Google Play Music account. And they've been working really hard on understanding children, which is sweet because I got 2 of them. And the 8-year-old should be able to interact with this thing, but so far he hasn't.
Well, and then everyone's list stays the same. Stays not the same, I should say.
Yes, exactly. Like my kids should not be able to launch Luther in Netflix. That would not be a good show for them. So,
but you have to start to wonder when their playlist contains mostly death metal.
Yeah, that too. Yep. Along with that is the Google Home Max, which looks like Google's trying to get to do the Apple Home before the Apple Home is actually released. It's basically a really big speaker, all fabric. You can lay it sideways. You can lay it upwards, vertical, or portrait, landscape, doesn't matter. It does the same thing Apple talked about with the Apple Home, where it'll like tune itself to your room. It's 20 times more powerful than the Google Home. As the thing I just mentioned, Smart Sound, to figure out what your room is actually like and give you a better acoustic experience. Oh, sorry, the Apple Home Pod, not just Apple Home. 4.5-inch subwoofers. It's got tweeters, acoustically transparent fabric, quote unquote, and that's going to be it's going to be over $500. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which ultimately is pretty comparable. They've only got a wait list on right now. I don't think it's going to be out until December. So it's going to be Apple HomePod versus Google Home Max this Christmas for people who have a more agnostic home. Jameson does not. I do not. But for those people who do, they'll actually have to make a decision here on which one is the best fit for them. Okay,
moving on to the Pixelbook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I want to try one. I really
do too. It's got oh shoot, I had the actual product page here. Hang on.
All I know is it's big bucks. It's big bucks. The first thing I'm thinking of is awfully expensive for something.
$12.99 I think is where it starts at.
And it's running Chrome OS. Now, if you can do everything you want to do in Chrome OS, that's great. But
Chrome or Android apps.
More and more, everything that I do is across multiple devices. More and more these days, if something can live in Chrome, I stick it there. I totally get the
I can get it, but I just can't see paying the price for I could see it back when they were like $4.99, $5.99, $6.99. But like if it's your primary machine, I'm sorry, but $1,200, that's like I can get a very comparable laptop from either Microsoft or Apple for that, which will run everything I need to, whether it's Mac OS or Windows. Like that's the only thing. Like if you're spending that sort of price, this is like your primary machine.
And that's actually exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a high-end device that will last for 5 or 6 years. And when you consider the fact that these are mostly web apps or Android apps running on this device with an Intel Core i5 or Core i7 processor, it should last 5 or 6 years. And so for $1,300,
as long as it meets your needs. But are you considering this your primary machine, or will you still have another machine in the house?
This will be my primary. I've always got a desktop just in case for whatever.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. Like I'm kind of the other way. I could see paying less for this, but it wouldn't be my primary. Like if I would spend $1,200. It's going to be my primary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be my primary. So let's go over specs real quick. 10.1 millimeters thin or thick, depending on your perspective. Solid state drive, of course, 128 gigs to start, up to 512 gigs is available. You can get it's 7th gen Intel Core, so that it was at Skylake, not Kaby Lake or Kaby Lake. All day battery, quote unquote, 8 or 16 gigs of RAM. You can, you want to talk about a quick charge? Charging it for 15 minutes can get you up to another 2 hours of use.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Of course, it's Chrome OS. It gets updates every 6 weeks or so. It is really, really secure. I'm confident, someday somebody will figure out how to crack Chrome OS. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but there's also some built-in security chip, TPM, that sort of thing, Trusted Platform Module. And Google has been getting more vigilant lately about scanning Android apps and certainly your docs and that sort of thing. And, of course, Gmail for a long time now. So technically, anti-malware is built in. I guess you could look at it that way. It does have a headphone jack. two USB-C ports, 360-degree hinges, so you can set it like a normal laptop. You can flip it completely the other way and use it as a tablet with your keyboard facing down. I imagine the keyboard turns off or disables itself in that configuration. You can prop it up in tent mode, or one other mode is they call it the 401. It does not come apart, but otherwise it's an incredibly flexible. The display, 12.3 inch LCD display, 2400 by 1600 resolution, which is a little weird, but that results in 235 pixels per inch. That's quite high density. Dual speakers, 4 mics. Why 4 mics? Because Google Assistant's built in. It has its own dedicated button. So all the things you're doing on your Android phone or your Pixel Buds, you should be able to do here. 10 hours of battery life is what they're saying. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, of course, backlit keyboard, edge-to-edge trackpad, a 720p front-facing camera at 60 frames per second. I was right about the TPM chip. Gyroscope, magnetometer. I'm not sure what that's entirely for. Ambient light sensor, Hall effect sensor. Again, I'm not sure what that's for. And everything else you need. Power adapter, user guide, quick start guide, etc., and so on. So, yeah, for $12.99, ultimately, you're worried about the platform, Stuart, and I get that. But when I take into account that almost everything I do is web-based, and if not...
I wouldn't be able to use it as a development machine, for example.
You could. You'd have to make some severe trade-offs, I think, right now, but you could.
I can see, and that's the thing. I can see
that. But that being said, there are a lot of people in my office who live almost exclusively in web apps or in Google Drive, Sheets, etc. So, I could see someone making this a choice for this one, for this to be their primary machine. And
even if there is a piece of software right now that you're using that is solely desktop, like for me, Sketch. There are web-based alternatives already, in this case being one called Figma. So it's just getting to the point where even the things that are exclusively desktop apps right now don't need to be.
Yeah, it is. It is getting better, and that's my point. There is a market for this, but it's certainly not a universal market yet. We're not at that point.
No, not quite.
We're significantly closer than we were, say, 3 years ago, though.
Oh, most certainly. Certainly. When the first ones came out in that.
And even Spreaker, there's a Spreaker Android app. I could just use that instead. And that's all running natively on here. So all those other laptops where it's been in beta mode, that should come out of beta pretty soon, at least in the next 3 months or so. So, it's just becoming less and less of an issue. The rest, new Daydream View, I think slightly better panels.
I will say this about Daydream. Having gotten to try one at Google in Toronto, incredibly comfortable. As much as it is like a bit of a, not a whole 100% sold on, or at least its practical applications outside of gaming. Daydream is one of the
right.
Anyways,
okay. And last but not least is what, the Clip?
The Clip, yeah. So this is not something I want. Basically, if you've seen the Memento, it's kind of like that, except that it's supposed to be, instead of worn around your neck and capturing your day all day because you're super narcissistic. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did. That's okay, but I agree.
Or you have you've seen the movie Memento, and you're like, I have that. And so you need a camera around your neck all day, and in which case, my sympathies. This thing is actually set up to be like supposed to work the other way around. So you're supposed to like set it up and like capture cute moments with your kids, or I don't know, really kick-ass selfies or something, because it uses machine learning, and which was a major theme of this event, to capture the best photos, and then you can connect to the Memento, because it doesn't connect to the web at all. It stores all the photos that it takes on device. It's got 16 gigs of internal storage, and you need to actually connect to the device to view the photos it's taken. And over time, it can learn, like, oh, this person's a member of your family, like they live here, and so it'll be more apt to take photos of them as opposed to just strangers. And so you're not going to use this thing as a security device. It actually specifically does not take pictures of strangers because it doesn't recognize them. It's Memento is actually a much better name for this sort of thing, because that's what it's for. It's to capture moments and things like that. So,
just wait.
Nice
Someone
camera,
will make a movie based off of this type of device.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. I probably won't see it, but I'm waiting for it.
Definitely.
So that was it. It was a huge hardware event. All of these things I would gladly take, except for the Clip. The Pixelbook also has a Pixelbook pen, which is made by Wacom, depending on where you live. I've heard other people say Wacom, and they should know because they're actually artists. But anyway, I've always said Wacom because Wacom sounds stupid. And 2,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, 60-degree angle, to capture like the side of the pen and do thicker strokes and that sort of thing. So, it's like a Surface Book, but running Chrome OS, basically.
Cool. Alrighty.
And that's all for the Google stuff.
That was a lot.
It was a lot.
They had a lot.
That was like, that was the amount of time we usually spent on an Apple event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's... See, hopefully. That's the thing. They're just as good.
Line. The Pix these days, especially, what's coming out of all the producers, they've got these little gimmicks that try and one-up each other, but in reality, what you're getting is the same across all devices. I take a look at the Pixel, I'm like, yeah, I could see myself buying that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, well, and Google even said that, like, the hardware is all the same these days, guys. Like, all these phones have pretty much all the exact same specs. So how do we differentiate? We do it in the software. We do it with Google Assistant. We do it with machine learning. Like, this is how they envision themselves beating Apple at this point. One-upping each other in hardware can only last maybe 1 or 2 more years. Once have the ability to project and capture the world in like all these crazy forms from our mobile devices, where do you go from there? Well, it has to be all software from there. Like there's nowhere to go. So
it's going to be interoperability between devices, the software, how it works with your cloud-based systems, all of that. That's going to determine which ecosystem you live in. So
yeah,
exactly. Okay, let's move on then. Payment manufacturer Square, or payment developer, whatever, Square. You've probably seen those if you've gone to various craft shows or fairs or stuff like that. A lot of small businesses use it for doing credit card payments. It's a little tiny white plastic square, literally, that would plug into the headphone jack of your iPhone or other phone.
Or iPod.
Or iPod. One of the biggest
iPad, sorry.
Yeah, not
one
iPod.
of the biggest complaints people have had is that they don't have debit card payment systems. Well, Square's now actually have announced they are doing that now. Now, you do have to buy, I believe, a new reader to handle the chip card, which is $59, but it's available now. It accepts tap payments from all the major credit cards and debit card, as well as Android and Apple Pay. The fees for the credit card stay the same, but they are waiving the debit fees on all transactions till the end of 2017. After this, it will be 10 cents per debit transaction charged to the shop owner. It's actually not bad.
That's not bad at all, no. Especially when you don't have to lease something for a couple $100 a month. So.
Well, exactly. So I can see a lot of vendors, especially small business people. Like I said, I've seen this when I've gone to various craft fairs and stuff like that with my wife, and even some of the model kit shows that I go to. I've seen people with Square readers. It'll be nice now that these places will take debit.
Yeah. Brendan already said that he wanted to get one of these for the Gainer Homestead. Yep.
I think it's good. Also, the software was actually done for the most part out of their North York office in Toronto. That's because the U.S. They're way behind in chip technology and stuff like that. Yeah. So no, I think it's good. I think it's going to be a really good idea. A good idea.
I'm happy to see them accept things like Apple Pay out of the box, just because I don't have an interactive flash card, but I essentially have that with Apple Pay. No, I don't. My debit card doesn't have tap functionality.
Who do you bank with? PC.
BMO, actually.
Really? No, why?
I've never bothered upgrading my card.
Just call them and tell them you lost your card. the new one was they send you. Well, I can almost guarantee will have tap to pay or have NFC built in.
Well, okay, that's nice. But for me, it's more. I would honestly rather be able to. I would love to see Canada doing stuff like pioneering digital driver's licenses. I don't want to have to carry around a wallet. I want to only carry around my phone.
I agree.
For example.
I agree.
And so, as much as Interact Flash is nice, if I can do everything through Apple Pay, I would far rather do that.
Okay, but you're talking about the difference between government and private companies, right? The private companies are giving you the ability to tap to pay. So for me, I'm taking advantage of newer things, faster things, because tap to pay is even faster than debit, and is even faster than credit. So for me, it's literally pull out my phone or the card, tap, hold for 3 seconds till the thing beeps, realistically. But that is a fraction of the time it takes to... This is totally first world problems, but a fraction of the time it takes to put in the card, wait for the thing to register. You put your card in there, punch in or say, yes, this is how much the thing's going to cost, pick your account, type in your PIN, wait. It literally goes from 30 seconds to 5. And I just feel like I'm being nice to everybody behind me because I'm like, I'm getting out of here.
The thing is, it's one of those things because I switched last year because my debit card was dying, and I got one finally. And it's one of those things. Once you get it, you wonder how you did it without it.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you get to a machine that doesn't have it. Like you say, first world problem. It's almost an annoyance.
But you're like, what is this? Why don't you not have tap to pay? Walmart still doesn't support tap to pay. I'm like, guys, get on it. I avoid
Well, I don't
Walmart like the
to go to
plague, but
Walmart,
when I
so-
go, they
Yeah.
better have a tap to pay. Gosh darn it!
Yeah.
Well, think about how much money they're wasting by slower transactions. Just
Yeah,
from a purely
especially-
capitalistic point of
Exactly.
view,
Exactly.
the more people you can ring through, the faster, the more money you make.
Well, so one way I know this from experience. One way the cashiers get around that is so they actually have a metric called items per hour,
Yeah.
which is literally how many items they scan per hour, and they make sure it stays high. Like the best ones can almost hit 400 IPH because when they've finished scanning items and now they're waiting for you to pay, they actually sign out of the
Yeah.
of the cash register. So
Isn't
and
that
then
crazy?
when the next person starts, like when they're ready to scan, they sign in again and keep going. So that's how you get 350, 375, almost 400 items per hour scanned, is because they are crazy good at like signing out right at the right time and signing back in right at the right time. So when they start scanning your stuff through and you're like, what do you like? What are all like the 6 buttons you're hitting here even before you started scanning anything? That's what it is. It's like sign in.
just signing in.
Here's my here's my ID. Here's my password. So it's probably more like 12 buttons, and then enter, and go.
But that's a whole
Well, yeah, but like this, that would cut down
how screwed up the
on.
system is.
Yeah, that would cut down on the time in between signing out and signing in, which might mean it's not worth signing out and signing in anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Either
Okay.
way, bring it on
All
Square because that has been an irritation of mine going
Yeah.
to restaurants that don't
Exactly.
have.
And
don't take
Walmart, you're welcome.
Okay. Moving on to our next story, and this story is for a good friend of the show, Jamie Cousins. This is for you because you are that guy. Windows Phone no longer is going to be a quote-unquote focus for Microsoft. They will not be building new hardware or features. Comments?
Yeah,
Saw this
not
coming a few
surprised.
months ago when.
Yep.
What happened a few months ago? Well, they pulled support for Windows 8 Phone officially, like, 2 months ago? And we're like, uh-oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not really surprised. I mean, they haven't been able to capture very much, if any, of the market. I mean, yeah, it's been a 2-horse game for a while now,
Yep.
and no matter whether BlackBerry or Microsoft thinks they still have skin in the game, I'm sorry, you don't.
Well, and as their Microsoft's corporate VP of operating systems, tweeted out, we have tried very hard to incentivize app developers, paid money, wrote apps for them, but volumes of users is too low for most companies to invest. And yeah,
Yep.
that's basically it in a nutshell.
Yeah, developers go where the people are, and the people are not
Yep.
on Windows Phone 10 or 8 or 7 or anything before it. So, at some point, people like Jameson need to decide, well, where do we put our time and effort in training and learning? And it's certainly not. Well, Xamarin made it a lot easier, but Xamarin also makes it really easy to make those apps for iOS and Android. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and things like Xamarin are great because they're tools agnostically, regardless of what ecosystem, which theoretically should allow for more players in the game. But, I mean, let's be honest, if you've got all of your things already in iCloud or all of your things already in Google Drive, if the only reason you're using Microsoft is because your company has an Office 365 account, but everything else personal is not in Office 365, you're probably not going to switch.
No, exactly. And you know what? Microsoft's always taken steps to ensure that, you can reach, your Office 365 data in both iOS and Android. There are ways to do it. So they're making sure they're not pulling themselves into a hole, which is a smart move.
and the
Which is a
web.
very, very smart move. And the web.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm an Office 365 subscriber, but yeah, I can get my data on my Mac, on my iPhone, on the iPad, on the web. Exactly. So yeah, I don't need a Microsoft phone to do that. But no, I feel bad for those. There are people who support it. It had some great ideas. Let's not say.
Oh
that
yeah, no, I know lots of people
Yeah.
who really appreciated the interface. I've seen it. I don't think it's bad by any means, but
Yep.
it's it never had the apps I want to use.
Exactly.
Now, nicely, it's still Windows 10 Mobile, not Windows Phone 10. Windows 10 Mobile is still going to continue getting bug fixes and security updates. But that's really about it from the sounds of it.
Right. Okay. Moving on. This is an article that was in Tech Vibes by Dennis Dawson titled "Canada Needs to Get Ready for Driverless Vehicles." And
not just Canada, though.
Not just Canada, no. Government.
Well, no, but this
everywhere.
is a Canadian senator writing about it, so that's why I threw it in here.
Yeah, but this is something very important. They're talking about. And he says here, quote, "Since the first factories opened and the first rail lines were laid 2 centuries ago, humans have been coping with wave after wave of innovations. Reactions have ranged from excited to fearful to hostile. There is little doubt that autonomous vehicles will bring with them another transformation." This is basically how are we going to manage this, especially in the beginning where you're not going to have 100% autonomous vehicles on the roads. Derek, we'll start with you.
So, well, okay, so he brings up a few things that have already been brought to the fore, right? Adaptive cruise control, lane departure, warnings, head-on collision avoidance, that sort of thing. Those have actually been around for a really long time, especially if you had a luxury vehicle, or like Nissan's been working on that sort of thing for a while, Ford as well, where you do have cameras and other sensors on the side of your vehicle looking at whether you're still in the lane or not. Not V2V communication, but certainly, again, sensors that look around your car and see where other vehicles are in relation to yours and whether they're getting closer or not, and that sort of thing. So the key difference is that you're still in control. And all you're really taking in is information and then trying to make those decisions. The next step is you're not taking in that. Well, not that you're not taking in the information, but you don't have to make a decision. A computer is instead. That has been coded by humans. So it's just that next level of abstraction that needs to take hold here. I don't. Certainly, not having 100% autonomous vehicles on the road could be a hindrance, but humans successfully shared, or at least relatively successfully shared, roads between cars and horses for a while. Mm-hmm. We've shared them with pedestrians and cyclists for a long time. Not all that successfully. But,
I was going to say, but I would beg to differ on that one.
But maybe it's sharing is the wrong way to put it. Or maybe tolerating is a better way for a lot of drivers. But that's ultimately it's. Yes, there needs to be some sort of transition plan here potentially. But also an attitude change. And I think actually autonomous vehicles will force that upon people, where you can have a really nicely painted and well-maintained crosswalk right in the middle of a road, and the cars will just know it's there, whether they've got the data already in the map that shows it's there, or whether there are sensors on street lights or what have you that tell upcoming vehicles that they need to start slowing down because this thing is in front of them, or at least watch out for the vehicle in front of you because that's coming up. Like there's 50 different ways you can do this, but ultimately a higher level of automation, or any sort of level of automation with sensors about the road and other users of the road, can actually bring a huge sea change in the attitude and how people treat the road. And when you have, let's say 6 lanes, 3 going both ways down something like Commissioners near Wellington, if you're in an old pickup truck, but you see the other 2 cars beside you slowing down, you're going to inherently slow down because you're like, oh, clearly these other drivers know something I don't. And you look ahead and you're like, oh, there's a crosswalk. There's people on it. I should slow down because if I don't, I'm going to be at fault here.
I think one of the other things, though, is we have to look at is not, and he points out in the article here, it's not just the technological issues, but also the sociological issues. Mm-hmm. He has a quote here about we're looking at the potential collapse of the manufacturing industry for automobiles, a sector that employs 100,000 Canadians. But we've also got the case of you've got almost 300,000 Canadians are employed as drivers. So that can be taxi drivers, delivery drivers, truckers, bus operators. You're looking at a great upheaval. Jameson, I'm going to pass this one over to you. What are your comments towards this, or do you see there? I know I've given you a tough one. I'm sorry.
That's a
softball. Come on.
I've got about 7 different ways I can go with this one. First off, choose two. I think he's only hit part of it on the head. I think it's not only autonomous drivers that we need to be thinking about. We also need to be thinking about the collapse of the auto industry in general, mainly just from the standpoint of why pay for something full-time to sit in my driveway or in my parking spot when I can call one on demand. He's only hit part of the nail on the head there. It's going to impact a lot of Canadians. It's going to piss off a lot of Canadians until they see the economic benefits of it. And I think that's ultimately how sociologically we have to traverse this, is we have to, because most people are not necessarily going to want to think about the philosophical concerns of, the train track problem. How do you choose hitting one person versus 7? People are not going to care about that to a certain extent. People are going to care that we're taking away their cars until they see an astronomical decrease in their monthly costs. And people are, it's going to hit to the very core, more so in North America than in Europe, hit very close to home on a lot of people on the whole identity of the car being the great liberator. I would beg to differ that it's not, having started doing a lot of cycling lately. It's anything far from being a great liberator, but that's a whole different discussion. As on that note, as someone who has started cycling I can't wait until all the cars on the road are completely autonomous, so that I'm not facing drivers passing closer than a meter when I've got my kid on the back, or things like that. It's just the number of human errors that happen on a daily basis that most people are shielded from because they are in a multi-ton death machine out there is astronomical. And so removing the human factor is ironically a very good thing for the overall safety of society.
There you go.
So I will say, there's still going to be automobile manufacturing. It's not going to employ 100,000 Canadians, though, because no matter what, we're not going to need as many cars, and people aren't going to buy as many cars as we have right now. So there will still be people employed, but yeah, it's not going to be nearly the number. I would say it's probably going to be between 10 and 20,000.
The other thing you have to account for, though, is that as all these vehicles shift over to non-carbon-based energy forms, if we take a look at the operating costs and the maintenance required for electric vehicles in comparison to combustion engines, and even the manufacturing, the amount of input needed to manufacture an electric vehicle is drastically smaller than that of an internal combustion engine, just purely because of the number of parts. So, not only are we going to see attrition in the auto industry because of that, but we're also going to see it based off of just the number of cars on the road, ideally going down, as sharing economies start to take over more and more, as it becomes more cost effective. Phone, call up a car within 2 minutes to take them where they need to, and without a driver in it, we're going to see ideally a decline in cars.
Yeah, and Senator Dawson does make that point. He mentions other industries: auto insurance, auto repair, parking lot. law enforcement, energy. It's going to be a huge list when you look at what's truly connected. So
shut down all the parking lots.
Shut down all the parking lots.
Realistically, we're not going to need them. Like
No.
if we end up in Jameson's utopia here, where nobody really, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way or a negative way. I'm just, that's still, I think, a long ways off. But if we do get to a point where I don't need to own a car anymore, or a truck, or a van, doesn't matter. Whatever I need, I hit it. I load up an app. It comes. We load up our stuff. We go.
Yep.
Yep. Once I'm out, it buggers off and it does the next job, right? So even if 10,000 people are all trying to get downtown as in a mix of like a night's game between cycling and walking and driving and public transit, you're not going to need the parking garage underneath Covent Garden Market anymore, or the one across the street on King Street, because you go, it drops you off. When you're ready to get picked up, it picks you up and you take off. And it won't really the traffic won't necessarily improve in that respect. But the
I would argue it will, because
it depends
to a certain extent. It will get better, if only because humans inherently complicate interactions on the road. Humans will stop when they don't need to. Humans will induce, a ribbon of people starting and stopping because someone pulls into a lane.
True.
When you remove those human elements from the interactions on the road and you say, drop me off at X, the other cars will figure that out because they will have that V2V communication, or at least they'll know the intent to start off with, and systems will self-organize around that intent.
Now here's an interesting point. I was just thinking about this with the example of nightscapes. If we eventually do this, we're not going to need driveways or anything like that. So let's say you've got 19,000 people down for the nightscape on Friday night. Okay. 9,000. Okay. Well, let's say we're in Toronto for a weekend.
Fine.
Whatever.
Anyways,
a large amount of people. Where do all those cars go during the game?
Most of them would go back to. It's going to be a similar effect to kind of Uber, where you you end up with clusters that will self-dissolve.
Yeah, we're going to have a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah, ultimately they can probably pay for access to like the Masonville parking lot or the White Oaks parking lot instead. Maybe we still have a few parking garages and lots around, but we're not going to need nearly as many as we have right now.
Yeah. It's just something I just thought about. So okay, that's probably
the nice thing about systems and networks like that is that they should ideally cluster around, kind of like white blood cells. They'll cluster around something that is high priority, and then they will self-distribute themselves back over the network.
All those autonomous cars hanging around in that.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll leave it there.
There you go. Hanging out by the pool hall.
Yep.
All right. So from one side of autonomous vehicle to, I guess, another, First Nation community in Ontario, they're going to be doing a trial of getting deliveries using drones. This is pretty cool. This is up in the Moose Cree First Nation, which is up way north, up by James Bay. In the wintertime, supplies can come in via an ice road, but in the summer, you're restricted to either boats or aircraft or planes. Exactly. This is interesting. They're going to trial this out. It'll be interesting to see how large they can carry on these drones. I think it's actually a really good idea, and it's a good example of people and First Nations communities working together to bring some of this technology to these areas. Any comments?
Well, it goes hand in hand with a lot of what's coming out of the agriculture industry, where some of the fastest growing tech startups right now are actually based in rural Canada, where they're having to solve these large problems over great distances and they want to autonomize things. They want to make it easier and faster for them to do things. And this is just also a great case where it helps everyone's bottom line. It makes it cost effective for people to get supplies, so that it's not something that astronomically increases pricing on things to the point where it becomes an impoverishment to live in your community.
Yeah, I'll add on and say there's actually a couple of companies doing something very similar to this in Africa already. So this is not trailblazing tech specifically, but certainly it's new here. And I think this is a great use of UAVs, drones, whatever you want to call them, to to actually enhance people's lives. Now, going back to the same thing we just talked about with autonomous vehicles, this means that boat drivers, ferry drivers, etc., charter planes, those guys are going to be out. Those people are going to be out money. But ultimately, if you're looking at it between the difference of spending $50 to get your groceries and maybe $5, well, obviously you're going to choose the $5 delivery instead. Exactly. It looks like they can carry up to 10 pounds, so they're probably going to need a lot of drones, or at least a few deliveries every day. But it's and it'll go between 3 and 10 kilometers.
It'll have one of two effects. It'll either everything will shift over to drone-based delivery technology, which that's pretty darn cool. The other thing that will happen is it will either induce. The other thing is it could induce development of more traditional means. So actually developing better means of delivering supplies to those communities, because people are going, well, crap, I don't want to be out of business with my boat, so I need to figure out a better way to do this so that it's faster and more cost effective for everyone.
Yeah.
Which, ultimately is a win-win for the people in these communities who has a direct impact on their livelihood.
Alrighty, and that's all our stories for this week. So now we're going to hear good friends at Olio.
Everywhere we go, they're within an arm's reach. They make us more productive, help us stay connected, and even entertain us. And every day they're helping organizations across Canada build a better tomorrow. At Olio Digital Labs, we are the planners, the designers, the builders of the custom web and mobile applications that are enabling small and medium-sized organizations across southwestern Ontario, empowering some of Canada's largest brands. Large or small, organizations across Canada count on our focused development process to produce affordable, scalable mobile applications that can help fuel their futures. So whether developing a rock-solid e-commerce platform for an ambitious small market, developing a complex system integration for a national enterprise, or helping an organization of any size navigate application design and user experience, accessibility, and security compliance, we are your complete web and mobile production team. We are the experts to plan, design, build, and maintain your project. Find out what Olio Digital Labs can do for you by giving us a call or visiting us on the web at oliodigitallabs.com. Olio Digital Labs, code that powers every day.
And we'd like to thank Olio Digital Labs for continuing to sponsor the Canadian Tech Podcasts.
Excellent. Okay, under stuff we like. Let's start this week with Jameson.
Alrighty. So I've been playing around with a couple of different things. My phone, one of them being Carrot Rewards, because I do a lot of walking and cycling, which is great. And Carrot Rewards allows me to get stuff for free just by exercising or doing what I normally do every day. Tied into that, though, is a handy-dandy little thing called Drop. And that's my actual pick of the week. It's earnwithdrop.com, or if you click on my link, it's a referral link. Click it, please. And the whole premise behind it is that it uses the same APIs that a system like Wave or Mint uses, and it just gets a feed of your transactions. And you can earn these drop points for every transaction, and they'll throw you bonus offers and things like that. The first bonus offer I got was for Tim Hortons. So I spent $4, got 20 points, and got another 400 bonus points. And then you turn these drop points in for things like Amazon gift cards or iTunes gift cards, things like that. And so it's just a handy-dandy little way to do what you normally do and earn extra money because sort of with live sort of providers that you get points with, and then they'll throw you bonus offers, etc.
Cool.
But again, it's just you're doing something you're normally going to do, which is spend money, and you get a little bit of bonus out of it. So I highly recommend it.
Cool. All right, Derek, on to you.
I want the Google Pixel book. Simple as that. I talked quite some time ago about possibly buying a Chromebook and how it did pretty much everything I needed to, if not everything I needed to. And the Pixel book just adds a really nice sheen to all that, which is it's super nice hardware. It is very Apple-like, I would say, in a good way. And yeah, and it runs Android apps. So, with on a Core i5 or Core i7 processor. So I don't know if the I'd be totally comfortable buying the base model, but it's a nice looking device. So I'm gonna try and save up $1,300.
There you go. Okay, mine's a little bit cheaper than bucks. It's a book from it was written a couple of years ago. Gay Hendricks, called The Big Leap, and so it's the full title is Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. It was actually written in more than a few years ago, 2010. But some people I follow on some blog and podcast recommended it recently, and I've gone through it once, and it's actually really, really good. The premise is that we all live in various zones. So a lot of the time, if we're successful, we're in our zone of excellence. So, you guys are coding, you're making money, you're happy with that, you've got some businesses going and things like that. But is it what you truly are a genius of? And then they talk about the zone of genius, and that's something that, you're truly meant to do. And that's one of the two zones. There's also the zone of incompetence and the zone of competence. But I know it's great, but it makes you kind of rethink your life and what you're doing. And I'm kind of in that phase right now, especially with this job hunt and that, as I'm getting older, do I want to do what I was doing 20 years ago? But what else do I do well? So it's actually a very good read. It's one of those ones you really have to go through twice or even three times. It'll definitely force you to make some, ask some questions about yourself and kind of look in deeply. So, well, recommend that. The link there is my Amazon affiliate link, so feel free to order from there and give me money. Anyway, onwards. What are we up to lately? Jameson, what are you up to lately, man?
Well, we'll start off with the. So I'm now lead developer at Arcane, one of three. About 3 teams on our ever-growing dev team. I get to lead a team of 6 incredibly bright developers that keep me on my toes every day. And then I've also kicked off a couple of open source projects that are. I'll keep the name under wraps for now, but the premise behind them is that they're opinionated CMS installations that handle dependencies themselves. Me getting very nerdy here, but they're all geared towards being driven through a CI and CD tool like CodeShip. Actually, CodeShip is my preferred tool, so it works out quite nicely.
Yes.
The idea being they're geared for a continuous integration environment.
Cool.
Very cool. Derek.
I started my Christmas shopping.
This
is really early for me. So people are like, "Oh, come on!" I know. This is way out of the norm for me. I usually start late November if I'm lucky. Usually early December. So I've already bought something for someone. I had a council meeting this week. We had a public meeting in Ilderton at the community center about the future of the arena. We did a needs study, and so this was a presentation about the needs study findings. And so
the curling club better stay.
The preferred option from Monteith Brown Planning Consultants was to give them an extra 2
ends.
Curling ends, yeah.
Excellent.
So they would have 6, but this is still like 10 years off.
Okay.
So it's it's going to be a while still. But we need to have the discussion, because if grants come up, we need to have all of our ducks in a row so we can apply for them. I wrote and published a blog entry about chatbots on Olio's Medium account, which has gone really well. Tons of views and reads on there, a few claps and that sort of thing. So that's been great. And right now, or just recently, I started digging into augmented reality, and I'm going to be writing a blog entry about that. Thankfully for us, some folks have already written React Native wrappers for ARKit, and I know that there are some for AR Core on the way. So that means we can stay in our comfy corner of the JavaScript world and keep making mobile apps that do take advantage of things like ARKit and AR Core. So yeah, hopefully I'll have an in-house developed demo to go along with that. We'll see how far I can get. Excellent. And how much dev support I can get. The first few games of the Chicago Blackhawks season have gone really, really well. Are they still beating? Nope, they're tied now, 2-2. Oh no, they're losing 3-4 against the Leafs. No!
Yay!
Boo! Anyway,
it's okay. Don't get too excited. I'm sure the Leafs will.
Hey, they've been kicking butt so far this season.
Yeah, barely.
Anyway, and then started watching Outlander and season 4 of Luther on Netflix recently. So those are both going quite well.
Excellent. All right. As for myself, I'm still job hunting. That #HireStu, it's still out there. I'm working on some S. Clark consulting ideas and some life ideas, as I mentioned previously from that book. And I'm also been invited to be a speaker on podcasting chat. And that's scheduled to take place on October 20th at Innovation Worlds. This is something a good friend of the show, James Shelley's putting together. And I'm one of the expert panel, if you can believe it. Oh, man. So I'll be with Stephanie Cicerelli at voices.com, Al Coombs from CJBK, Lindsay Harris, who's the coordinator for the Public Service Innovative Spaces and Services for London Public Library, and a good friend of mine, Lindsay, for years. Dan Dawson, who's a retired veteran broadcaster, and Charles, the general manager of 121 Studios, and James Shelley's going to be facilitating that. So it's free if you've never done podcasting, but you want to get into it. Really suggest you RSVP at the link I provided, and it should actually be a really good session at 121 Studios. So that's what's happening with me. So any words, gentlemen?
Yeah, the Leafs have actually won the game 4-3 in overtime.
Unbelievable. So
they're on a 3-0 start to their season.
See, start planning the parade.
My father-in-law's favorite joke right now is, oh yeah, I was working up in Toronto last weekend. Oh yeah, what were you doing there? Oh, surveying the parade route. Because he's a surveyor.
There we go.
Yeah.
I see. Very good. Very good. That's bad.
Yeah, well, it's a total dad or a surveyor joke, I guess. Not necessarily a dad joke, but he gets a kick out of it. So good for him.
There you go. Well, if it keeps him happy, you just smile and go, okay.
And I will also mention we've done the noteworthy news thing again. So lots of things we couldn't get to this week. Some Facebook stuff. They launched apps for Workplace. Tencent and Bell joined the Blockchain Research Institute. TD's done some stuff. Equifax. Only 8,000 Canadians affected, apparently, which is better than 100. You can get Facebook Messenger Lite now in North America instead of having to get the bloated version of Facebook Messenger for your phone. Lots of things to look at there in the show notes.
All right. So for episode 135, and we should wish everyone in Canada happy Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, that's today.
That's why we're recording today, because everyone, even though the holidays today, a lot of people eat their turkey and go into a turkey coma yesterday.
Yeah, like me.
I was almost in a turkey coma for tonight, but
there you go. You managed to. You're cook, so that's right. So good for you. All right. So, for episode 135 of the Canadian Tech Podcast for Monday, October the 9th, 2017, my name is Stuart Clark.
My name is Derek Silva.
And I'm Jameson Roberts.
Thank you, and be well.